Welcome to the Sharpe Way show. It is 7 p.m. on the East Coast. You got to look at my mug. Yes, absolutely. I'm still doing shows even during this, holiday season. Is it between Christmas and New Year? Some of you are probably off. Some of you are still working. Some of you wouldn't be working no matter what. I got you either way. My kids are home. Probably yours are. Of course, mine are always home. But now they're not officially in school at least. So there's something, I guess. So I'm so happy you guys are watching. And as always, please like, comment, share. I bug you every single time because I want you to do it every single time. Like it, put a comment down, share it with your family and friends. Let people know this is happening. And of course, get those algorithms going so that, you know, all the internet things do their thing and share this all over. It does matter. Well, it is last weekend today. Yes, it is last weekend today. And I know in the past I've done a bunch of Tuesdays with Andy or those types of things. I don't want to always do my governor. I spent a lot of time treating him poorly, but it's fine. He deserves it. But today I kind of want to show you something that was impressive, I thought, particularly for CNN. Jake Tapper had Pat Toomey on this weekend and actually had an interesting interview with him. Just short, but I want to go over it. It's really good. And I'm thoroughly impressed by the things they talked about that actually, I mean, generally, if you go from 2017 now, it's 2015 on, CNN has basically been the channel that's just been like, Trump's bad. That's been their entire channel's been Trump's bad. And then once in a while, COVID or a plane crash, right? That's what they've been. This was different. This was actually a decent interview. And I want to cover it because I think you'll actually be impressed. You go, oh my God, is this CNN? Yes, this is actually CNN showing that it can work if we try. This is them dealing with Pat Toomey.
In our politics lead today, Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell, Republican of Kentucky, is embracing uncertainty today as lawmakers try to navigate a tricky set of votes that could force many Republicans to cross President Trump.
But the piece here, of course, they begin, look on what I've told you many times that CNN literally has a body count on the right side. This is it. It's a body count on the right side, and you can see total cases, deaths, United States, total deaths. In the morning, they will sometimes, or at night, they'll sometimes have deaths today. Here's the weekend. We don't report usually on the weekend, so they can't do it on the weekends. But during the day, oh yeah, boom, right there, they'll often just show like deaths today. That's how the body count keeps clicking. That's how bad it is. So be scared. But hear something else.
Republican Senator Pat Toomey from the great Commonwealth of Pennsylvania joins me now live. Senator, thanks so much for joining us and Merry Christmas. I want to get your reaction to the president's latest tweet.
And this is the point I want to bring up. What you find on CNN and Fox almost always is just reactions, right? The news is no longer the news. The news is someone's reaction to the news. So typical Fox or CNN, I know some of you like one or the other, but typical Fox is, you know, here's something that happened. Okay, what we're going to come on right now is guy who hates Democrats and other guy who loves Republicans. Okay, what's your reaction? Please tell me why Democrats are evil. And then boom, that's what happens. CNN is the opposite, right? Here's a thing that happened. And to tell us why Democrats are great and Republicans are evil, here's guy who hates Republicans, guy who loves Democrats. Go ahead, tell us why Republicans are always wrong. That's how it usually is. Not this one.
Said, unless Republicans have a death wish, and it is also the right thing to do, they must approve the $2,000 payments ASAP. $600 is not enough. What do you think? What's your response? Yeah, I notice you're in there are five.
But look, this is the one thing we got to realize here, right? This concept of Trump using the bully pulpit and going past, you know, the establishment and going right to the people has been what he's been doing for 4 years. None of us should be shocked. This is Trump's tactics. He goes directly to, hey, here are my people. Here's what I want. You guys are in trouble. That's what he does, right? That's what he does. So we shouldn't be surprised by this at all. And of course, I got to do this, Pete. I love it. Yeah, absolutely. The national debt's there, and all we can talk about is money. But I got to tell you, Pete, you're going to be happy. He's going to bring it up. Yes, he's going to bring up the fact. He actually will bring it up. Absolutely. So here we go.
5 Republican senators that have come out in favor of increasing the payment from $600 to $2,000, but you are among that's 5 Republican senators. You're among the 47 Republican senators that have not.
Yes.
Well, that's right, Jake, and I'm not going to, because I think it's a very bad idea. I mean,
so they actually brought a guy on CNN who says, "I don't want to vote for this. This is a bad idea." We actually brought a guy up that said, "This is a bad idea. Don't do this."
Let's be clear about what we're talking about here. We're talking about sending checks, the vast majority of which will be going to people who've had no loss of income whatsoever.
Now, this part is not necessarily a bad thing, right? And I brought this up last night, and I'm going to bring it up again. If the goal, and this is the problem with the entire package, it is convoluted. There's so much on top of it. There's so much garbage in it. If you're going to say, look, we give up, we suck as a government, and we're just going to write checks to people, if that's what you're going to do, then why are you going to write them? Are you writing the checks because we just want to start the economy? That's it. Let's start the economy. Let's get it going. If that's your goal, just write checks to everybody. Everybody should get it. We just want to start the economy. Spend, spend, spend. Get the economy going. If you're saying, no, we're not trying to get the economy going, that isn't the goal. The goal is to make whole all the damage that we did, in which case what he's saying would be correct. Let's figure out how we're going to do that. And it isn't over, Thanksgiving weekend or Christmas weekend or New Year's weekend.
That's just a fact. How and why does that make any sense at all? Oh, by the way, when you bring this direct payment up to $2,000, the total cost is almost 2/3 of $1 trillion.
2/3 of $750 billion. That's not even $1 trillion. Come on. Those are rookie numbers. You got to pump those numbers up. Not even $1 trillion? As Pete has told us many times over the course of the show, 27 trillion is our current debt. That's not even 4% of our debt. Psh, come on, man. To me. Give up the program. Playing the big leagues now. Big dollars.
It's over $600 billion, most of which, the vast majority of which will go to people who had no lost income whatsoever. This makes no sense. We're in a very different place today than we were back in March.
Yes,
and it was
true.
Dubious merit back in March, but then at least you could make the case that we actually had no economy. We had so completely shut down the economy.
Yeah, but this party's wrong. He's saying because we shut the economy down, that made it okay to give the money out. Here I disagree completely, right? Either you're going to go with we've done bad things that have crushed Americans, therefore it's okay to write those checks, or it's not. Right? One or the other is true, or it's not. It doesn't matter that the situation was worse or not worse. Either you believe it's okay, or you don't. Or you think this sucks in general, but I don't have a choice. Okay, here's my logic. But because the situation's worse, that isn't the answer.
That we were looking to send money as a substitute for the economy. Now, we've got a very different situation. The economy grew at 33% last quarter.
Yeah, from nothing. That's not impressive. This one is wrong. Okay, yeah, we only got $1, so now we got $3. It tripled. Yeah, that's not impressive. The growth that we had, while I am very happy we had growth, and he's right, we had growth, and I'm happy we had growth. However, the economy's still in deep trouble, and the future is in deep trouble. We are in trouble here. So that part, again, he's off.
We've got very acute problems within certain employment groups, right?
Yeah, everybody who's not working in a office.
People who work for restaurants and hotels and travel and entertainment, devastated. But we do not have a global macroeconomic depression under.
Yeah, we do. Yeah. We actually do. And some of you will think that that's not true. When I'm talking to you all again next year, I'll be saying, I'll be doing another I Told You So. I'm consistently doing I Told You So's. I'll be doing that again. There's absolutely a global depression on its way. There's no question.
Way at all. So it makes no sense to be sending this out to everybody who has a pulse. Oh, by the way, you actually don't need a pulse.
You don't.
Anyone who died this year, dead people are going to get the checks too.
That's not a bad deal. I like that. Well, I got 4 people in my family who died. We buried them in the back. I want 4 more checks. I like that idea. Another one's coming. Wow.
I wonder if it's enough stimulus for them. I mean, that's how ridiculous this is.
Well, I guess I have a couple questions for you. One in policy and one procedure. On the policy level, you would agree that there are still millions of Americans suffering, people who have lost their jobs, who have lost income, who do need help.
Yep.
What would be a better way to help those people? I mean, you've seen the lines at the food banks all over Pennsylvania, I'm sure.
But hold on, guys. I want you to see this. This was an actual interview. Jake Tapper was actually just interviewing this guy and letting him talk. He wasn't going, "You're an evil Republican, therefore you're wrong. Let me tell you how bad you are." He didn't do any of that. And they didn't fight back and forth. This is what's so amazing about this. It was just a conversation. This is one of the best. I know it sounds crazy, like I'm saying something weird, but if you've watched CNN recently, this is not what they usually do. I hope this is going to become the norm. That would be I'm probably wrong, but I can still hope. I'm the optimist. I'm hoping this becomes the norm.
Sure.
So, Jake, that's where we should be targeting. And so a lot of the bill that we voted for overwhelmingly does, in fact, target those very people.
Yep.
It's PPP loans, right, which are really grants to small businesses, provided that they keep their workforce employed.
There we go.
So people would continue to have a job because of that money.
Now, I had a plan for that, by the way, that if you guys pay attention, on how to make allow everyone to keep their jobs 9 months ago. They're now trying to figure out something. Yeah, no, that theirs doesn't work anyway, but at least the idea is there.
Who would otherwise not have a job. There's a plus up in unemployment benefits for people who are actually unemployed. There's an expansion of the eligibility for unemployment benefits to include people like the self-employed and
self-employed guys like me,
not qualified. Those kinds of things make a lot of sense. And we could have a debate and a discussion.
They actually don't make sense. While I love the idea, they actually don't make sense because there's no way you can tell who's actually doing that and who's not, right? It actually doesn't make sense. If you actually want to help and make this better, you've got to have a system to where people are able to just go and work better. That's the way you create an environment where we can open back up and start working. That's how you do it. Anyone out there who's like me, who wants to go off and do their own thing and work and create your own money and do that kind of thing, entrepreneurial in the way you think, you actually don't want the government giving you checks. You want the government letting you go work. You want the government to stop taking so much of your check and stop making it so hard for you to go out and make money. That's what you actually want. So if you're trying to help those people out, getting out of their way is the best thing.
Question about whether we should do even more for those things. But when you're talking about the two-income couple who, let's say they both happen to work for the federal government, among the 2 million people who do.
Did you guys hear that? 2 million people who work for the federal government. It's actually more if you consider all the military. That's a little bit more. So, yeah, that's just federal government. About 1 in 7 or 1 in 8, I think it's 1 in 7 Americans works for the government in some way, shape, or form. Yeah. And even those who don't work directly for the government, another chunk of those people are basically working for the government in a contractual way. I mean, they have a company, but their biggest customer is government. So government's massive jobs program.
They've never had even an interruption in their income. They've had no lost income at all. And if they've got 2 kids, we're going to send them $8,000 of money we don't have.
Think about that, what he just said. He's actually admitting for the first time. He is a public servant admitting, hey, I haven't lost a paycheck. He's just said, I haven't lost a paycheck. Yes. He's actually admitted, not that I didn't know that. We all didn't know that, but he's actually saying, why am I going to get money? I didn't lose a paycheck. I'm good. I work for the federal government. I kept getting paid. Yeah. And I'm not against, if you're a government worker, I'm not mad at you because you didn't get it, because you didn't lose a paycheck. Good for you. I hope you continue to not lose paychecks. I hope you don't. Good for you. I'm just saying, recognize that if you're someone who's kept a paycheck the entire way through, you're in a better spot financially than someone who's lost their paycheck. That's it. You might have other issues. You might have people who are dying of COVID or something like that. But financially, you're in a better spot than someone who's lost those checks.
That just doesn't make sense.
Okay, so that's the policy question. The procedure question is, do you think Senate Majority Leader McConnell should offer a clean up or down vote on this issue of $600 to $2,000?
See, he changed the piece, right? If we actually had single issue bills if we actually had laws that were about one thing and didn't have 17,000 writers on top, then we actually might be able to get something done. You would actually know what someone's voting for. But they decide, oh, what's this bill on? Oh, this bill is on there how to give Americans money. Let's throw on top of that how we're going to help out big business and some pork money to a couple museums. Whoa. I thought this was about giving Americans money. No. We're going to add on all these other things that have nothing to do with it. Because now if you vote against my pet projects, I'm going to say you voted against the American people. Yeah, that happens every time. Every time you hear one of those commercials where it goes, evil guy Johnny Smith voted against your kids 7 times in a row. Whenever you hear that commercial, it's because that bill probably had 18 other things in it that he hated. So he had to vote against the kids or whatever the thing is happening right now.
I suspect that he might be thinking about other ways to kill it, because I think he agrees with you, such as adding that, the provision to get rid of Section 230.
There we go.
Which provides immunity to social media companies from posts that other people put on their sites.
Yep.
I mean, wouldn't a clean up or down vote be the better way to at least legislate this, even if you vote no?
So I don't think so, Jake. The reason is because I think it makes much, much more sense, and there would be much broader support if this is actually targeted to people who need it.
So his issue was the targeting. I actually agree with him. I think we have to decide what's this thing. If we're going to write all this money up and we're going to make Pete Clark so mad as we increase our debt even more, at least give Pete a reason, right? Give him a reason. Tell him why we're going from 27 to 28 trillion. Let him know. Is it because I'm trying to spur the economy? Is it because I'm trying to right or wrong? Let's target it. I agree.
As I say, we don't have this money lying on the shelf. We're either going to print this money or we're going to borrow it from.
Did you hear what he just said? We don't have this money. We're either going to print it or borrow it from overseas. Yes, this is just debt. So we're either going to take on the debt ourselves to the Fed or we're going to take on debt from overseas. That's it. We don't have this money, right? Helen was talking about a rainy day fund. There's no rainy day fund. There's just more debt. He's actually acknowledging that debt's a problem. What? Someone talking about debt? Huh? Is there a debt? Yeah.
Overseas. And either way, we ought to think long and hard about how we're doing this.
Yes.
This, when you know for a fact that the vast majority of it is going to go to people who've had no loss of income, I think that's indefensible. And so if there's a will to do more, then we ought to talk about how you do that in a sensible fashion where the money goes to people who actually need it. And we're not going to figure that out on a up or down vote that gets jammed in sometime this week.
But why were you thinking about it just this week? What if someone was an actual leader and was seeing the damage that was going to be done, I don't know, say 9 months ago, and was thinking this is going to be a disaster? Let's come up with a plan that would actually help our country 9 months ago, so that now we could figure this out and not be in this situation now and being a better financial situation, a better commercial situation, a better social situation now. Yeah, somebody did. His name's Larry Sharpe. You can go to the Sharpe Way YouTube page and look at the playlist COVID, and boom, there's everything. And I'm not in power like you. I'm some guy, and I figured the goddamn thing out. You can't. And now you're like, well, we can't figure it out now. How many years do you need to respond to this? I needed a weekend. I needed a weekend. 1 weekend is what I needed. You need, I guess, I don't know, months, years?
So obviously President Trump says that your position is a death wish and the wrong thing to do. He also has been lashing out at Republican leaders for the vote to override the defense bill, calling House Republican leadership weak and tired. Now, a senior Republican told CNN that these rants are, quote, the ravings of a deposed king. How do you see these attacks on Republicans?
See, I'm not. This is the part, right? They're attacking everything and fighting back and forth, and it bothers me because they're all shifting because they care about the election in Georgia. That's what this is all about. Once the election in Georgia is over, as soon as that happens, all the Republicans are going to turn on Trump. Watch them just turn on Trump. Like, oh, you lost, bye. They're already turning on him. You can see it happening already. and I don't mean individual Republicans, like the actual voters or the people of the party. Many individual Republicans are still going to support Trump. I mean the Republican establishment. They are going to bail on Trump in a heartbeat. They're going to, oh, okay, that's over. Trump who? And that's going to be it. They're going to look for the next leader or super guy in their party. That's what we're looking for.
Look, I'm not very surprised about tweets that are critical of people who are overriding the president's veto. He doesn't like that prospect. I understand that. But I think that the defense authorization bill, which we have passed for 59 consecutive years, I don't think anyone ever considers it perfect. It is the result of a legislative process, which, by the way, this administration was involved in.
Yeah, but it was bad 59 years ago, and it's bad now. Like, it's been bad for 60 years. So there is that it's bad for all those years. We shouldn't be dropping $700-800 billion on our military every year. It's just not required. It's bad then, bad now. We're rewarding bad behavior. We should probably stop.
And the president's big objection seemed to be the provision that is going to require renaming of military facilities that are named after Confederates.
There we go. See, that's the issue, right? We do what we always do. We get upset. We get upset over cultural issues that, while are important, cultural issues, of course, matter. We are cultural people, social people. Of course it matters. But that becomes the thing. I can't. Oh, this social thing. I can't. That's it. The end of the world, right? Do I actually care whether they rename the military bases? I actually don't care either way. You can keep Fort Lee. I don't care, or whatever the fort name is. A bunch of Bragg, right? Bragg is one. I think is Hood another. I think Hood. So yeah. So you can rename them if you want to or not. This is not my issue. Let the military decide if they want to rename them or not. If the Army wants to rename their forts, good on the Army. I don't care either way. Not my issue. Just fine. Just do what you think is appropriate for your service. If it's time to do it, do it. If not, don't. It doesn't change how I feel. It doesn't change my day-to-day life. It doesn't change what I'm doing. I don't care at all. And we're going to go up or down on a bill on the expense of our military. One of our largest expenses, one of the part of the military industrial complex. We are going to go up or down on that based upon whether you agree personally on whether we should change the names of our forts. This is a huge problem in our country.
And look, I think that amendment probably goes too far in the dynamic, but I don't have a problem with renaming military bases.
It doesn't matter if you don't have a problem. That's my point. It goes too far. What you said, go back to what you said. It goes too far. That shouldn't be an amendment. It shouldn't be an amendment at all. It should be, hey, Army, is there a problem with you having, is it time to rename your bases? It is, rename them. Oh, it's not? Don't. That's what it should be. That shouldn't be an amendment to a spending bill. That's just virtue signaling. And now it's getting crushed for nothing. For nothing.
Against people who did not commit treason and take up arms against the United States. So I don't object to that idea. And the idea that
I don't object to the idea either. But why is it in the bill? That's the point. You said it up front first. It goes too far. Yes, it does.
Section 230 should be repealed. Look, I think that's an important, complicated issue. But that legal liability protection that we granted to these internet companies years ago really enabled spectacular growth in a whole new industry that has done so much for our economy. Is it being abused in some cases? I think it is, actually. But I don't think you just decide one day to throw it all out.
But again, this goes back to my point about planning. He's right. Look, I like what this guy's saying. I think he's coming from the right spot. I really do. I think he's coming from the right place. I really think that he is, right? He's saying, look, we gave them the freedom, we protected them, and look what we got. We got, massive growth, lots of jobs, great stuff. Agreed. That's true. Maybe it's time to pull it back, right? Maybe it's time to realize it's a problem and pull it back. Okay, great. You're just figuring that out now? Now? We were yelling in 2016 how Facebook stole the election. Don't you remember that? Facebook stole the election in 2016? 4 years ago, we were saying that happened. Now we're saying it again, and now they're fighting conservatives or whatever is the thing that they're doing now. So we should have thought about this earlier, and we should have had a plan, and we should have talked about it, and we should have had a plan to fix it this year. This shouldn't be like, now what do we do? It's been COVID. You've been sitting home all day. You can't figure this out? You could have come up with this plan if you thought about it literally in a weekend. Here's what we should do. And then come up with a policy, come up with a plan, and you should have had that bill out already. But we don't, because nothing gets done. We just keep complaining and using things as wedge issues.
I think we've got to think through, what are the unintended consequences of that? How might we treat this in a more nuanced way?
Who are you talking to? Aren't you the person who's supposed to be doing this? Well, we've got to do this stuff. If only there was someone like, I don't know, a senator whose job was to make this happen. Maybe. Yeah, it's you. The amount of times I hear politicians say, well, we've got to do this stuff. No, you do. That's why you were elected, in theory. In theory, you were elected so you could actually do this stuff. You should. Yeah.
Than just completely repealing Section 230.
Before you go, sir, a few weeks ago, you briefly held up the relief bill over concerns you had about a program at the Federal Reserve that you saw as...
Pete, don't jump out of your skin. We're talking Federal Reserve.
As the Fed doing the job of legislators and also allowing members of Congress to sit back and not make tough decisions, let the Fed handle it. As a principle, I understand that.
I have to touch this piece too so much, right? We have spoiled, and it's our fault, meaning us as a country. We have spoiled our representatives, and our senators. We have spoiled our representatives and senators. They don't have to do any work anymore. They outsource everything to everybody else. The president does, executive orders. The Fed decides monetary policy, and the president decides when we go to war. Everything, right? So the Congress does nothing but sit back and virtue signal and wear a mask when they think it's appropriate, or yell about the debt when it's the other guy, or that's what they do. They don't actually do anything anymore. They don't put any votes. They rubber stamp whatever is currently cool in their party.
And it seems to be a big problem for Congress, especially when it comes to sending troops abroad. This idea of Congress outsourcing tough decisions to the Fed or the Pentagon.
Jake, look at you, my man. My man. Where you been? Yes. Please don't stop this. Please keep doing this. This would be amazing. I hope wow. You know what? Maybe there's an advantage to Trump losing it. Maybe they'll turn CNN to a news station. It could happen. Maybe we could find a silver lining in this whole thing. Maybe. I'm being optimistic again. I could be wrong, but maybe.
What do you think?
Well, so there's no question in my mind that for decades now, Congress has been gradually, but seemingly systematically, transferring the authority that the Constitution and the responsibility the Constitution assigns to us, transferring that mostly to the executive branch.
Yeah.
And I think that's a huge mistake. It diminishes the accountability of these actions.
If only there was someone, like a senator, who could stop that and start. If only someone could. God, somebody should do something about that, huh, Senator?
And it diminishes the say of the American people.
Yes, it does.
I do think you can make that case that has happened in the foreign policy realm and with respect to the deployment of our military. But you have to acknowledge that at least you get into a gray area because the president does have significant powers as the commander in chief.
Sure.
You can't say that about just generic government spending. No, you can't. Right? And in fact, our Democratic colleagues wanted to hijack the Fed's emergency lending program, which was always meant to be temporary, and use it as a way to provide direct bailouts to municipalities and states.
Now, hold on. What you just said is a critical thing that is now in the works now. Democratic Party is considering this. The idea of allowing the Fed to directly bail out states and municipalities. Think about that for a second. The Fed can just directly bail out states and municipalities. You're going to give states and municipalities the same open checkbook that the federal government has, Pete's going to just go crazy. He's going to literally I'm going to have to call the guys in the white jackets to go pick up Pete. He's going to go crazy if that happens. He will be in an institution. We'll have to institutionalize him. There's no way. Could you imagine giving de Blasio, my mayor, an open checkbook? New York City itself would have $1 trillion budget. I'm not even exaggerating. Just New York City would have $1 trillion budget, and it wouldn't bring in more than $90 billion. It would be $900 billion deficit every year if you gave de Blasio, my mayor, an open checkbook. What a terrible idea. But think about it. They're talking about that now. Oh my God. Oh my God.
If we're going to do that, bailing out municipalities and states, that absolutely should be a congressional decision. And the American people ought to be able to hold Congress accountable for whatever decision we make.
That would be nice.
It does not belong in the realm of the Federal Reserve.
Yeah,
that's for sure.
Senator Pat Toomey, thank you so much for
guys. I brought that up on purpose because I wanted you to see what I thought was actually a very interesting interview that actually talked about some real stuff this weekend. It wasn't just, let me tell you why Trump is good or why Trump is bad. It actually had some questions and things like that. I mean, it was a real interview. I'm going to cover I have some other things I want to cover tonight, but I do want to cover a couple of comments because I know some of you really enjoyed that piece. So I kind of wanted to bring that up. All right. So Meccano's shady anyway. Are any of them not, Andrew? But yes. But are any of them not? Absolutely. Yes. The news is just opinions. Correct. That's totally, yes. That's, if you watch the news, Don, that's CNN and Fox. MSNBC's is just let me just tell you why socialism is the answer. That's what it is. It's the socialism channel. So that's what that is. 100%. It's been a long time since we've seen them do the actual job they were hired to do. Yes, Ed, 100%. I may have been a kid, or maybe even then it wasn't real reporting. I think it kind of was. If you look back in the day, and this is a good and a bad thing, right? Back in the day, when I was in school, I studied journalism when I was in high school. I was actually on the newspaper or something. My daughter was in the newspaper too, by the way. It's kind of interesting. But I was in the newspaper when I was, how I met my wife, by the way. My wife and I were both in a journalism class in high school. That's how I met my wife. So, and they talked about the idea of, you have to investigate and find facts and fact check and blah, blah, blah. And that's what journalism was supposed to be about. It was, integrity mattered. That was everything. Now it's get there fast with your cell phone. I'm a journalist, right? I'm the first person there asking people stuff. I'm a journalist. Facts don't matter. It's what do people think now? We'll figure out facts later. And then when we get actual facts, when someone does the reporting, we take it and go, what's your take on this? What's your take? They literally say that. Yeah, and here with reaction to this, if you watch CNN or Fox, just listen to how many times the anchor says, and here with reaction. And when they say it, you can even see the smirk in their face. Here with reaction to this terrible thing is these people who are going to attack it and agree with everything I think, whatever that thing is. So yes, it has been a long time since we've had that. And it's difficult. The sad part is, Ed, I'm not sure we want it. It sounds bad. And the reason why I say it is, it used to be very difficult to find any facts, right? When I was a kid, there was no internet, right? So it was difficult to find facts. CNN was just starting when I was a kid, right? I didn't get any type of cable news until probably, I don't know, teenager before I got cable news. Teenager, older, yeah, maybe teenager, yeah. When I got any type of cable news, so we couldn't find facts, so we relied on things like newspapers and things like that as these were our fact finders. Now you can find facts. Who knows if they're facts or not? But we can find them now very easily on our own. So a lot of people don't feel like that's what I use my news for anymore. I use the internet to find my facts. I use TV news to be entertained, or to validate the facts that I found and go, yeah, I saw that on the internet. That's correct. It's a different way that we look at it too. So it could be that also. Pardon should be given to those who are true heroes. Snowden and others. Yes, I haven't even covered pardons yet, Tommy, but you are right. right? Those who go above and beyond to report wrong are heroes. Yes, those are held in disrespect for exposing wrong. That is simply government or business trying their damnedest to make wrongdoing right. Snowden and others have earned pardons by our current president. They need to be pardoned and allowed to come home without being hurt or killed. I'm with you, Tommy. We'll cover pardons in a second. You jumped the gun on me, but yes, I'm going to cover pardons too. Absolutely. So, all right. Let's see. So now Republicans are concerned about the debt. Well, some of them are. So yes, I guess now, yes. The national debt will go to 30 trillion. I wish you were wrong, but you are so right. Yes. I don't know if inflation will be insane. I don't know, right? I feel like it's true, but they've been able to cover inflation with shenanigans for many years, Mr. Vaso. They may still cover it for a couple of years. I don't know how they exactly how, but I could see that without question. Is it okay for a Republic to have an emergency fund? I think yes, and that's in theory what the sovereign funds of certain countries are. Certain countries, smaller countries, generally speaking, some larger ones have sovereign funds. What a sovereign fund is, taxpayers put their money into a large fund, and the government invests that money, right? Government of Singapore has one, Norway has one, Saudi Arabia has one. Many countries have sovereign funds. Some of them are very big, $900 billion, $800 billion. They're very large funds for small countries, right? I mean, Norway has there's more people in New York City than there are in Norway, more people in New York City than there are in Singapore. So imagine if New York City had a $800 billion fund. So that's the kind of thing. So some countries do that. We don't, right? We don't have our country invest in things. So the government of Norway can own stuff. The government of Saudi Arabia can own things. The government of Singapore can own things because they have a sovereign fund. We don't have that in America. And I'm not saying we probably shouldn't, but it's okay, but we don't have that. We just have an open checkbook, right? That's what we have, an open checkbook. So when has either party cared about debt? About 170 years ago, give or take, 80, maybe even 20 years ago. Maybe 20 years ago? Hold on, 18. Yeah, about 20 years ago, give or take. Yeah. The government shut us down. We are still mostly shut down, and businesses are never reopening. Yeah. He's and I think she means liar. Yes. I'm not sure he's a liar, Stacey. He might be, but he might just not get it. Remember, a lot of people like that spend a lot of time in a bubble, and they don't always get it. So some may not get it. I think he does know. We're in trouble. We are in trouble. That's for sure. So let's see. Our taxes have been spent a long time ago. That's also true. 100%. So how much of that growth has been people adopting families for the holidays? Because I know a lot of people who did that for the first time this year. Also true. Yeah. A lot of people are changing. They're changing their way of doing things, their lifestyles. What I talked about yesterday, the idea of going without. Americans will go without. Many of you who've been in tough spots like I've been in, some of you I'm sure have been in worse spots than I've been in. You can go without. You can choose. I'm not gonna buy that new coat this year. I'm not gonna buy a new car the next 2 years, right? I'm not gonna do that upgrade of whatever. I'm not doing it. You know what? I'm not eating out every weekend anymore, right? I'm gonna go without. Right? I'm not buying those new shoes this year. I'm gonna go without. We've done it. I mean, almost everyone watching, I'm sure, has done it at least once in their life. They were in a tough spot and they're like, I guess I can't buy that. I guess I'm not doing that. We can do that. That isn't the problem. We will create new norms. The problem is debt. The debt that we're in. That's our problem. We don't have, you and I don't have a Fed, Karen. We don't have an open checkbook. We just write whatever we want. We got to pay our bills, right? American government doesn't have to, right? But we do. So that's our biggest problem. We will change and make new norms. Absolutely, we will. We'll live with our parents. Look at many millennials live at home still. Many do. And those that live at home, a huge percentage have roommates. They've been accustomed to not being on their own. They've either lived at home with others or they live with roommates outside. They're not even thinking of having their own apartment or their own home. Not in their world. It's a new norm. You go back to my age, first we wanted was our own apartment. Couldn't wait to get our own apartment. That was everything. Couldn't wait to get out and do that. Not the case anymore. Absolutely. So all this talk about stimulus and the need for it. No talk about how shutdowns failed. Yes. Thank you, Steve. Destroyed everything and shouldn't be repeated. Yes. You are absolutely correct. Yes. I have a piece on that too today. You are correct. See, no one's taking responsibility. It's as if It just happened. These shutdowns just happened. So now we've got to save America because they just happened. This is the old, I break your leg, then I give you a crutch. You go, see, Steve, because I care. Here's the crutch after I broke this. Yes, 100%. So kills me. Why do they need a 6,000-page bill to hide all their bullshit? Yes, should be one paragraph. In fact, you're doing it for the people during a pandemic. Give the people X amount of money, sign it, send us back our money. Eric, I'm in. It's what I've been saying, right? There's give or take 230, 240 million adults in America. You want to give us money? Write everyone a check for $2,000. That's about half a $500 billion. What's $500 billion among friends? You send it out, move on. Done. That's it. You're right. That's like 3 sentences. You're right. It's a paragraph. Done. There's your bill. Sign it. Have a nice day. Economy magically start. And to the earlier point, as Steve was talking about, stop the lockdowns. So now we can go out and spend the money. And then we don't have to worry about supporting the local, municipalities because people will start spending money again and the taxes come back and then your city now works. So yes, and yes. So I didn't qualify for PPP because my business is only me and I didn't get unemployment. Ouch. That is horrible. My business was crushed and is down by lockdowns, not COVID. All I want is them to stop locking down. That's exactly my point, Sam. You are right. Yes. Guys like you and me who are out there trying to hustle and make $1. We don't want the money. Look, you're gonna send me a check for $2,000. I'm taking it and I'm spending it. I'm doing both. I'm gonna take it and I'm gonna spend it. I'm gonna do my best to spend it locally. I'm gonna try not to do it all on Amazon, which everyone's doing on Amazon. I don't want these to be gift cards to Amazon, as someone mentioned yesterday. I'm gonna try to spend it locally if I get it. I'll take it and I'm gonna spend it locally. You should take it too, right? You libertarian, hog libertarians. I'm not taking that money. You spend it. It's your taxpayer money. Take the money and go spend it, right? Take that money. With that in mind, I would rather just let me work. That would be better for me than giving me the money. I'm with you, Sam. Just let me go back to work, right? I used to be, for those of you who know, I was a trainer, a consultant, a teacher, a coach. Now I'm just a coach because that's all I could do. They took 3 parts of my business and split it. Gone. Trash 3 parts of my business. Gone, right? So that's what I'm doing now because I can do this way because my governor or my king, His Majesty King Andrew Cuomo II, all hail the king, he deemed me non-essential. I'm with you, Sam, 100%. Yes. So, all right. Can we just have a fresh start in the Congress and the Senate and vote everyone out except for the ones that want freedom? That would be nice. Absolutely. Yes. Yeah. Raising and lowering of tax burden is accomplished through legislation. That's true too. Yes, absolutely. We should be doing that also. I'm totally, yes, I agree completely. All people who got paychecks can feel free to donate those stimulus checks to their communities or charities. Yeah, right. That's my point, right? If you get that $2,000 and you happen to be in a very good spot, and I hope you are, personally, I hope whoever gets it, you're in a good spot. If you are, donate it if you want to. That's great. Give it to a civic association, a charity, a church group that you trust, and that's great. Or spend it. I'm asking you, please just don't save it. I know it sounds terrible for me to say that. I know it sounds terrible. But if you get that check, please spend it. That'd be awesome. Any way you want. Charities are fine too, because they get stuff done also. Also good, whatever you think is appropriate. So yes, single issue bills. Yes, Stacy. Yes, Stacy. Yes, single issue bills. But if you do, Congress has to work harder. You're right. But let them. Let it be clear, right? Let it be clear, so that people can actually see what's going on, right? This is what Eric was talking about. So people can actually see what's happening. If the bill is a paragraph, wasn't it? I think it was Herman Cain when he was running for president. Was it 2016? He's running for president. He said he was going to have a new rule that no bill could be more than 3 pages long. Now that might be too short. I don't actually know the details of that, but that's a start. I like that. I like that concept. There's literally a limited amount of pages that one could be, or words or something. Love that. Yes. Even a broken clock. Yes. 100%. Yes, absolutely. Giving money to people who didn't miss a paycheck just means that people who will pay for it get a cut of their own money. That's true also. It's a valid point, Phil. It's a valid point. And if they're going to spend it, then it's still good, right? If they're going to put that, particularly if they put it locally, right? If you're going to take that money and now buy some stuff in your community with that $2,000, that's a win because that money is now in your community going around. So I'm asking them, guys, if you got the cash, you're doing well, and you get that $2,000, please spend it in your community. Go out of your way, if you don't mind, to buy stuff in your community. It really is a good idea. It's going to help everybody in your community if you drop that cash in your community. It will help tremendously. Exactly. Nothing gets worked on all year. Then last minute, earmarks get added to one bill. Of course, I think, yes, nothing gets discussed all year and in the Senate with McConnell as a leader. McConnell is as bad as he's a bad leader, but I don't think it was any better when other people were in charge either. I think it's been bad for years. This idea of Congress kind of giving up its power started in the 90s, but really after 2001, that was the end, right? When 9/11 hit, the president became our king. He was like, protect us, do whatever you want, it's all good. That was the beginning of something really, really harsh. I think that's when we go back, later, 10, 20 years from now, and look back to 100 years from now, and look back, 9/11 is going to be the thing that we're going to say, yeah, that's what ruined the government. It was 9/11. That's what it was. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, 100%. That I think is a big issue. I want to grab something else, and this goes to the pardons. The pardon piece, I want to touch two pieces. One is Chris Cuomo on CNN yelling, and the other one is, if I can grab it, is Michael Cohen being upset. There are two people upset about these pardons. And let me share them and see what you think. Let me do Cohen first, so you can see where his head is and what he's talking about. All right.
Well, maybe you can help explain something.
Oh, I'm sorry. This isn't pardons. Wrong one. This one is about. Okay, scratch it. Wrong one. Sorry, guys. I'm going to pull this one off. This is not the one I wanted. This is a wrong one. This is Cohen getting mad at Trump because he hates Trump. Which, if I was Cohen, I'd hate Trump too. I got it. I'm not mad at Cohen for that. If I was Cohen, I'd be mad at Trump too if I was Cohen. So I get where he's coming from. This is Cuomo getting pissed.
Just the past 24 hours, this president has vetoed pay for the military, stalled.
So the NDAA is pay for the military. That's what that is. Pay for the military.
Relief for millions of you, and issued the most toxic tally of pardons we have ever seen. 26 new Trump pardons tonight. Gifts to many convicted criminals that you know well, who did horrible things. Many admitted it. And then he left to go golf in Florida.
Now, he ranted. We don't need to hear the entire rant, but he ranted for about 11 minutes. He ranted on this for about 11 minutes, ongoing. He just ranted on how evil Trump was, how bad he was, because of all the pardoning. But I got to be forward here. I am clearly not a Chris Cuomo fan. But man, those pardons look shady. They absolutely did. They look shady. I'm not going to go to worst president of all time. I'm not prepared to go there. But I am prepared to go, it's shady. And what makes me angry is exactly what Tommy just said, right? Tommy just said, what about Snowden? What about these guys? Ulbricht, what about him? Right? What about Assange? The pardon is supposed to be used because someone did something they thought was the right thing, but it wound up being a crime. And the president sees that and goes, you know what? All right, I get where you're coming from. Fine, you're pardoned. Or they did something and they were punished terribly, far worse than they should have. Okay. There's literally a group, there's a pardon area, an area where you can be pardoned. A group of people talk about being pardoned, and you can go there and go, you know what? Let me pardon these people. Now, to be clear, is it constitutional? Yes. Is it legal? Yes. Does Trump have every right to do so? Yes. I am in no way saying that he did anything illegal, unconstitutional. He can do it. Absolutely, he can do it. I'm saying that I don't remember a president, Trump included. Clinton did it, shady, right? Reagan did it, shady. Bush did it, shady. They were all shady. I don't remember a president doing this the way it's supposed to, I'm doing air quotes, supposed to be done. I think we have to have a change. And it's not going to be constitutional, obviously. I mean, that's really tough to do. I mean, it could be done. But it could just be that the courts could go, guys, these are not valid pardons because it's not what they wanted in the Constitution. I can't imagine that when the founders were putting the Constitution together, they went, we need to have a way of a president pardoning his cronies so he can do shady stuff. I can't imagine them thinking that, right? They were pardoning people because somebody did something wrong and they shouldn't have, right? So that I get. But this stuff is shady. Am I wrong with this, guys? Am I off on this? Is it not shady? I think it is. Absolutely. So let me grab a couple of these real fast if I can. Mr. Sharpe talking about planning again. Yes, I talk about planning all the time. Yes, like the hospital thing. Yes, all these things. 100%. Yeah. Lousy planning. Yes. So Fort Harriet Tubman. Fine. She was in the Union Army. So fine, if that makes sense. But again, Jeremy, while I would love to go to Fort Tubman, I think that's awesome. The issue is, why is that part of this bill? Right? And I'll do this with all of these issues, right? People are like, yeah, it's so great that Mississippi that took off the Confederate flag from their flag. I didn't like their Confederate flag on their flag. Of course I didn't. I didn't like it. But they should take off the Confederate flag when they're ready to. And they were, and they did. Fine. I'm good. Mississippi wants to get rid of it. Get rid of it. I'm okay. If the Army goes, you know what? These forts are bugging us. Our people are unhappy. Our soldiers are being upset. This isn't working. We're going to change it. Change it. But let the Army decide. I'm fine with that too. Let it happen when it's supposed to happen. I'm totally okay. Yes. All right. Let's see if I can keep going this. Let's see. The GOP just like to play games. If they want to change the name, so be it. Agreed. This is a social issue we shouldn't be fighting up with. Yes. Larry came up with a solid plan in less than a week. It isn't that hard if you sit down and if you actually want to fix it, Shelley. That's the issue. Do you want to fix it, or do you want to make sure you can punish the other? That's the issue. Absolutely. Stacey knows. She's making policy now. By the way, those you may or may not know, Stacey Pressman is running for mayor of New York City. You can check her out at Pressman for Mayor. Yes, Pressman for Mayor. Check her out. She is running for mayor. Good luck. Yes. Yeah. President Obama pardoned thousands, unprecedented as well. Obama wasn't any better, Michael. You're right. He was bad too. Don't get me wrong. Have each of them made good pardons? They have. Trump has made some wonderful pardons. And a couple of them you saw during the Republican convention. And so did Obama. He made some good ones too. There's no question there were some good pardons that both of them did. That's true. I'm just saying, yeah, and then they do shady ones. The other ones are still shady, right? Absolutely. So, was Carter clean on pardons? That makes sense. That actually makes sense. Carter was definitely not in my top list of presidents, I think Carter was a good man and had a lot of good intentions. He's still alive, still a good man, a lot of good intentions. Not sure he should have been president, but still a good man. I think good intentions. I think his intentions still to this day are still good. I think he believes, in good things, and he wants things to happen, good things happen for people. I think he's a good man. So I get that. Yes. Pardons are not meant to be for a class of people, but yes, scope of how Clinton, Obama, and Trump have used them is part of the intention, because there's always some corruption, but this is limited. Again, I'm with you. There are some that were good, but a lot of them are just too shady. That's the issue, right? Trump pardoned dozens of times fewer people, and all seem to be for shady reasons. I'm not sure it's all, Steve, but a big chunk. I'm with you. He did not go through what many people do, right? Many presidents at the end of their presidency basically go through a pardoning file. They actually create a file for them of people who they think about have been wrongly accused, or been punished too much, or whatever the case may be, excessively. And then okay, I'll do these 3, these 10, these 15. Yeah, that's a common thing. He's not doing that. He's just like, none of these are my boys, pardoned. These are my boys, pardoned. But to be clear, though, should they have, hammered all his people? Probably not. Probably not. But man, it looks bad. That's what I'm saying. Absolutely. So, all right. Let's see if I can keep going down here. Carter is one of the best men in our country, but was a scary president. Shelley, I'm in. I like that. Shelley. I'm in. That's a good one. I do like that one. Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. So, all right, Larry, I'm here sneaking at work. Thank you. I appreciate that. Absolutely. I appreciate that. Yes. All right. So, pardon Snowden. William, I'm in. That's the answer. Do that. Pardon Snowden, Assange, and Ulbricht, and I'll forget the rest. I'll keep my mouth shut. I'll get the rest of it. Yeah. I'll keep my mouth shut. William, I'm with you. Do those, and I'll forget the rest. You're good, Trump. Do that. We're good. I'll forget all the rest. We're all good. You're right. I would do that. I totally would do that. All right. Let me see if I can find one more of these if I could. This goes back to the first part I was talking about. And this is the part where what facts do we know and how do we know them? If you remember, I was talking prior to the election. I was talking about how I don't want to call this election. You know, I don't know who to believe. I don't know what polls to believe. I don't know who's going to win. I have no idea. But now, here is what we get from Michael Cohen now, who now hates Trump. Used to love Trump, now hates him. But I get it. Trump did leave him hanging, so I get why he hates him. But he hates him. And here's what he has to say.
Because a few months back, and I know this is all a blur to the public at large, but
this is a blur to the public at large. Yes, absolutely.
Those of us who follow these cases closely, there was all this talk about $400 million that President Trump owed someone. No one.
Remember that? Right. So now if you support Trump, you go, that's BS. If you hate Trump, you go, see, he's a deadbeat. Right. So clearly you're going to jump on whichever side, depending upon how you feel about the president. So
one seems to know. If anybody knows, it's you. Who does he owe that money to?
This is what I like, actually. I mean, he's asking a guy a question at least. But, of course, he knows what the answer is, of course, right? Because Cohen hates Trump, so you know the answer is going to be, he's the biggest deadbeat ever, of course.
Well, the $400 million, I don't know where they came up with that money. The amount of money that Donald Trump owes to various groups of people, it's predominantly Deutsche Bank. And it's related to mortgages that he has on his various properties. Now, why did I bring this up? It wasn't because I wanted you to care about Donald Trump's mortgages on his properties or not. It was, if you're watching this news, you're saying to yourself, if you don't like Trump, you're going, see that? This guy? Oh, my God, look at this guy. If you like Trump, you're going, more BS. So how do you know who to trust? This is why I actually like the first one I showed you, CNN. It was an actual interview. It wasn't, what do you think? How can we beat up Trump or how can we support Trump? It was, how do we fix something? What do you think is our take? We need more of that. We need more of that. That's what I'm trying to achieve. So anyway, that's why I did that if I could. So yes. Chris Collins' pardon. Yeah, that was a terrible one. Absolutely. Yes, 100%. I disagree with Snowden and Assange. Criminals that cause the death of Americans need to be punished. They are evading punishment they deserve. They are evading punishment they deserve, thus undeserving of a pardon. So you would rather Snowden decide, you know what? I'm going to head back, spend at least 3 years in federal prison, probably getting gang raped. I'm going to do that to see if I get my day in court. And then I won't get it because people will have forgotten me by then, because now I'll be stuck in prison. I can't do anything like I can do now in Russia. So they'll just totally railroad him. He'll spend 10, 12 years in prison. They'll pardon him or whatever, commute a sentence after 8 or 10 years and that's the guy that let us know how the NSA and how the government was actually spying on us. That hero, that guy, you think, Mr. Voss, should spend 8, 10 years in federal prison, get gang raped, and have his life ruined. You think that's the answer? I don't at all. I don't at all. Snowden did something that was brave. Did he cause the death of Americans? Not one. Totally not true. Propaganda. Didn't cause anybody's death at all. But you know what did cause people's deaths? A bunch of people being ruined by the government as they committed suicide and ended their own lives. Tons of them. Snowden helped stop that. Assange too. Same thing. Told them to go. Ulbricht, what did Ulbricht do? He showed how worthless the war on drugs actually was by saying you just go online, you can buy whatever you want. Yes, absolutely. So I love you, Voss. You're wrong on this one. Love you. You're wrong on this one. So they both should be. In fact, Snowden should not only be pardoned, Snowden should be pardoned and given the Medal of Freedom. I'm not even joking. If I was president tomorrow, all of a sudden, I would pardon him, bring him back, give him a Medal of Freedom. Without question, give him a Medal of Freedom. That's what I would do. But maybe I'm wrong. So, all right. Pardon Tiger King. Ah, what an amazing PR stunt that would be, Logan. You should be somebody's campaign manager. If you aren't, you should be. That is brilliant. I love that idea. What a great way of, yeah, great. Larry, I loved your take on auditing the Federal Reserve. How do we go about getting more people to wake up about the truth of it being a centralized bank? I think we keep talking about it, Joe. That's the answer. I do. Keep talking about it, right? I was just on Andrew Heaton's, and I talked about it, right? I was on another podcast. I forgot which one I was on. Talk about it again, right? I bring it up constantly, right? That is the answer. Yes. The man literally said he thought those monies were about Trump's properties. Opinion and guessing are not news. This goes back to what we talked about, Shelley. Okay, I would like to make Trump look bad. Hey, guy who hates Trump, can you please show me how Trump can look bad? Of course, I hate Trump. Let me tell you why. Yes, that we went back to that. I was going to show the difference between that and what Tapper did. Tapper didn't do that. But yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. So pardon Snowden, pardon Assange. Mike, Voss, brother, I think you're outnumbered on this one. I love you. Outnumbered on this one. Absolutely. Yes. How do we know what's with Snowden? It's all smoke and mirrors. It's possible. It's possible. It is absolutely possible. But if it was, wouldn't that all have come out by now? Right? If it was all smoke and mirrors? Maybe not. But bring him back. Let him go around and talk to people. If it's smoke and mirrors, won't that come out too? I think it would. I do think it would. Hillary's emails cost more Americans death. Thank you, Joe. That's probably true, right? That's probably true. Absolutely. Pardoning Snowden for having the courage to tell Americans the truth will help others do the same. Pete wins. You win, Pete. That's exactly right. I talk all the time about setting up an environment to where people will tend to do better. If you punish whistleblowers, there will be less whistleblowers. If you say, no, let's let this guy talk, let this gal talk, let's let her talk, there will be more whistleblowers. And when it comes to government, the more the better. The more whistleblowers we have, the better our government will be. Whatever level of good it will be better. Absolutely. It will totally be better. So I want to, if I can, bring up one important thing if I could. This is a tough time with people. You are often worried, anxiety, sleep problems. No worries. Listen to this. Larry Sharpe, host of the Sharpe Way here. Look, are you dealing with some anxiety, some stress, maybe some pain from hustling during this tough time? If you think a CBD product might help you relieve some of that anxiety or pain, head on over to grownselection.com. Check them out. High quality, top rated, libertarian owned. Looking for creams, powders, oils, whatever is going to make your health better. Check them out. Make a purchase. Put in Sharpe Way 20. Get 20% off. They're our sponsor. Support us. Support your health. GrownSelection.com. That guy's smart. The last piece I wanted to bring up. On Fox News, Fox News Sunday with Chris Wallace, they had a different guy on, not Chris Wallace, another guy. And he was talking to one of the top guys in the Trump administration, guy dealing with the COVID response. And he was asking him about, hey, what are we going to do about kids going to school, right? What are we about kids going to school, right? Shouldn't kids go to school? And the first thing he said was, I don't know, kids should go to school. Don't worry about the vaccine. Don't worry at all. The kids don't have to worry about it. And this is a government official saying the kids don't know about the vaccine. They're safe. The safest place for kids to be is in school, blah, blah. Guy then says, well, what about the teachers? How about them? Should they be worried? No, school's safe. The kids should be going to school as soon as they possibly can. We should be focusing just on the people who are, in trouble. Those people who are over 65, those people who have pre-existing conditions, long-term care facilities. I thought to myself, isn't this what we were talking about literally months ago? Why in the world are we doing a shutdown still? When this guy's saying, no, the kids are fine. So they went to the teachers. That's fine. He goes, unless they're older teachers, they'll be fine. The guy literally said, if you're not over 65 with a pre-existing condition, it's okay. The protocols that we have in the schools work, right? The protocols, you're able to do what's required to keep people safe. Why doesn't that apply to restaurants and businesses and barbershops and massage parlors and gyms and insert thing here, local stores? If you know you're in trouble, if you're 75 and you're on chemo or something, you probably shouldn't leave your house. I mean, you can if you want to. I don't have a right to tell you not to, but you probably shouldn't, because if COVID gets you, you're in trouble. But the average person, what are you going to be doing, right? He even said it. No sense at all to lock down. The governments openly say it, yet we still do it. So I'm sorry, Larry, are you really tweeting during the show? No, I actually have, some of you don't know, I actually have a team of people who help me out on all my social media, help me out here. So very often what gets posted, my team posts, responses here are often one of my team members doing it. They're often helping me out here. So no, I'm not tweeting while I'm doing a live show. One of my team, they have access to my social media and they will often respond as me. Tweet in Twitter, Facebook, they'll respond often as me. Many times things that pop up aren't actually me. They're part of my team. In fact, to be forward with you, probably over half of the things that are on social media aren't actually me doing. It's very often my teammate. Now, to be clear, I take full responsibility for whatever they put up. Whatever. If it isn't me, I will say it wasn't me. It wasn't one of my team. With that in mind, my mistake. I take responsibility. I apologize when things happen, because sometimes things go wrong. It does happen all the time. I absolutely take responsibility for anything that's tweeted, anything that's posted on Facebook, YouTube. My responsibility. It just often isn't always me personally. I do sometimes respond myself. I do respond. I do, but it's not always. So I hope that answers your question. So I can't tweet and do this. No, I couldn't do it. I appreciate that. Thank you. So. All right, let's see if I can keep going. That will require actual journalism, and that's no longer a thing. Yes, absolutely. Yes. Larry, when is the next full Sharpe tour? I can't wait. Thank you, brother. I will be doing it again next year. I don't know when, but absolutely I will. Why lockdowns? One word: power. William, I wish you were wrong, but brother, you are right. The government is literally saying, they're saying, no, these things don't work. They're saying it out loud. This won't work, and we're still doing it. In fact, California's extending it. You are correct. It is to show power so that we shut up, because what happens in New York City and New York State will follow the rest of the country. California, too. You will watch it happen. Absolutely. I wish you were wrong. You are on the money, brother. You absolutely are. Yes. So, all right. As I warned yesterday on my show, Spain starting a list of people without vaccines given to you. Yes. Britain has lockdown. Dems copy Europe. Oh, interesting. Copying Europe. They don't copy us. We copy them. Yeah, I think that's often correct. Yeah. This is coming to the U.S. Already have Trump support list. Beware. Yeah, I wish that wasn't true again. I wish you're right on this one. Yes, absolutely. This is a concern that I have too, right? The odds of there, as I mentioned yesterday's show, the odds of there being an actual mandate, I think, are slim. But it'll be every single thing you'll have to do. It'll wind up becoming a mandate by default, which is bad, but not as bad, but still bad. Agreed completely. Yes. So we know who the vulnerable are. The vulnerable know who they are. Yes, Tom. Yes. Nobody from a nursing home is going to the bars at 10 p.m. Why they yeah. And you know what, Tom? If you're an 80-year-old guy who wants to go hit the bars at 11 o'clock at night, and you got, whatever, asthma or, some pre-existing diabetes or something, and that's how you want to spend your last years, man, good on you. It's your life. If you're like, hey, I'm going out partying with the youngsters, that's how I'm going to go. It is your life. I would hope you wouldn't. I would hope you wouldn't. But if you want to, it's your life. But they're not. You're right, Tom. They're totally not. 100%. Yes. People who are on chemo don't socialize. Yes. But I'll give you the one exception you'll hear me do often. I'll give you this exception because it was my mother. My mother was on chemo about 7 or 8 years ago. She died of cancer. And while she was on chemo, she wanted to spend time with my daughter, her granddaughter. And she was like, I'm taking my granddaughter to an amusement park. She wore a mask and she went out. And the doctors told her exactly what you said, Shelley. The doctor said, you go out there and you catch something, your immune system's shot. You've been chemoed out. Your immune system's shot. You catch something, you could die. And my mom was like, okay, I don't want to sit here and spend my last days without enjoying my grandkids. I'm prepared to risk my life to spend time with my grandkids. I'm prepared. And she did. She didn't die because of that. She died for other complications, obviously, but that wasn't why. But she did it. She was like, I'll do it. I'll gamble. And this goes back to my comment with Tom. If you're that 80-year-old guy and that's how you want to spend your last years or days, good on you. I would hope you wouldn't. I told my mom that she shouldn't do it. And she's like, I don't care. I want to do it. And I went, all right. I love you, Mom. Your life. Go enjoy your grandkids. And by the way, she didn't live in New York because she had to leave New York because she couldn't retire in New York. So my mom lived in South Carolina then. I took my daughter down there so she could spend time with her grandma because that's what my mom wanted in her final days. And I said, okay, done. That's your life. I respect your life. I respect you, Mom. I love you. And I brought my daughter down there and I left her there. I left my daughter there literally for months. Left her there. Stay. Spend time with your grandma. This is going to be the end. My mom was terminal. She was not going to, it was, how long would she live? It wasn't whether she was going to live. It was terminal. And so I left her there. And that's what made her happy. And my daughter still has good memories of her grandma. And so sometimes I say it not because I just want to say it. It's not rhetoric for me. It's what I believe. You own your own life. And you should enjoy your life as you see fit. And you should find happiness as you see fit. I told my mom I didn't want her to go because I didn't want my mom to die. I didn't want her to die. So I was like, you shouldn't go. She was like, I want it. Okay. Your life. I'll bring it down. And then my daughter spent months down there until my mom passed. My mom got very sick. I actually had to drive down there to pick my daughter up because my mom was going to the hospital. So I actually had to do that because it got that bad. But in any case, I'm not just saying what I feel. I'm not just saying rhetoric. I'm saying what I actually feel and what I believe. That's what I wanted to do that. Anybody's libertarians protesting in London against lockdowns? Yes, libertarians are everywhere, right? And if you're unsure whether you are a libertarian or if you know others who might be one, listen to this. It's a very tough time right now to have a real conversation politically about where the country should go right now. Mad at this guy, not mad at that guy, big problems. How do you do that? How do you have that conversation? Starts with respect, not leading with facts and opinions, but instead leading with respect, mutual respect, human respect. What can we use to make that happen? The world's smallest political quiz at theadvocates.org. Go there, take that test, show people that test, show them the issues, and have the conversation with your family and friends to make an actual change and have a real conversation in this country. Theadvocates.org. That guy's smart. Absolutely. Let me grab some more of these if I can here. My mom's 86. I didn't know that, Stacy. Yes, she wants to live her life as she should. Yes, it's her life, Stacy. I'm glad. Rocking and rolling. I love that. That's amazing. I love that. Grandma Shaw must have been a real firecracker. She was. And if I remember the story I told, her eulogy, when she died, I gave the eulogy. And I actually started the eulogy with church bells ringing. People thought, church bells ringing? I said, yeah. I said, that's a story I remember about my mom. My mom was such a rebel that at 14 years old, in her small town in Germany, my mom was born and raised in Germany right after the war, she, her and her hooligans went and rang the church bells. And that was such a, a riotous thing for these hooligan children to do. It made the local newspaper. That's what a hooligan she was. And then when she was 16 with her brother, 15, when she was old with her older brother, She used to do motorcycle sidecar racing, and she was the sidecar person. So yes, my mother was indeed that firecracker. That's true. Yes, absolutely. So I guess that's, yeah, there we go. So quality of life does count. Absolutely. I mean, and you choose what that quality is, right? That's what the issue is. My mom moved to Greenville, which is near Spartanburg, if not mistaken. That's where she went in South Carolina. It was I guess that's the Highlands. Is that how? It's not by the coast, more inland. So yes. All right. I don't care what party you belong to. You gotta love Larry Sharpe. Thank you, brother. I appreciate that so much. Yes, I hope that. Do you like ranked choice voting? It is ranked choice voting is not perfect. It is just far better than what we have now. Far better than what we have now. If I have a choice between ranked choice voting and the right now first past the post, I will absolutely take ranked choice voting any single day of the week, 100%. Yes, I'm a big fan. Let's go there. I met an 89-year-old man who was afraid of swimming because he had come up under a barge in Brooklyn. So I asked him what was the worst that could happen. He realized that he was near death anyway and nothing to lose. He swam every day for the rest of his life. Wow, what a great story, Shelly. That is amazing. Yeah, look at that. So some guy decided, you know what? I'm going to try this. I love that. That is an absolutely great story. Thank you for sharing that. People have to find their happiness, and I don't get to choose, right? You get to choose your own happiness, your own life, and sometimes you're going to be wrong. That guy for many years was obviously wrong. He probably should have been swimming. You were able to chat with him, and he decided on his own, you know what? I'm going to go swimming, and he's going to enjoy more of his life. And I think that's just great. I love that. I think what Congress fails to realize is that quality of life for everyone has been affected. Yes, it has, and we're seeing it now. And it's a tough time. It's why I did my show I did last Christmas Eve. It's why I did it, for exactly that reason. I think all the frivolous lawsuits for pain and suffering, etc. Think of all of them. We are all there. 2K is a bandage on a gunshot. Ooh, Steve, nicely done. 2K is a bandage on a gunshot. It is. It might stop the bleeding for a little bit, but the damage is done. The damage is absolutely done. Wow. Guys, I want to thank you so much for watching. Please like, comment, share, all those good things. Please do that. I appreciate it. It matters. If you've got some extra cash, you got a good Christmas present, Santa was good to you, you can throw some my way if you don't mind. Head over to patreon.com/Sharpe Way. You want me to keep doing this? I want to keep doing it. I'm going to expand a bunch more coming up in January. I got more people I'm bringing on the team to give you more quality. I'm changing some of the formats to give us more good stuff, some more content, different types of content. So we're going to expand it to make it bigger, better, stronger. If you want to help me out, please do so. Patreon.com/Sharpe Way. If Santa's really good to you, throw me $100. If Santa's not so good to you, no worries. Do 10 or 25. But either way, if you can't do any of that, support my sponsors. That helps tremendously. Do that anyway. I appreciate it, guys. All right, guys. I will see you all tomorrow.